Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you are watching this week's weekly video, I got it right. This week's weekly video, y'all, it's Wednesday. We got it done on Wednesday. Y'all are like, what? Y'all see my wannabe fake version of petals? I was trying to do a knockoff. I really just pulled it through and it was like, ooh, it looked like some flowers. Needless to say, it is another week, and we are in part two of breaking down what we talked about last week when it came to 529s, what they are. This week, we're going to go into what a 529 trust is because that's what the question was that somebody posed to me in the first place. I want to give you what it is that you asked for, but I had to give you the background so you know how we got to where we are going. Okay. For those of y'all who are like, I'm in this deep and I'm like, what happened? Who is she? I am none other than Patrice L. Berry, EA, aka the Tax Cop. I am the principal owner, founder, and enrolled agent here at Total Tax Experience, and we've been busy. Okay, this topic took me through a lot. It took me through a lot. I had to do some research. I had to make sure I found the right way to present the information because it's great information. Now, I will tell you, I had some bias, and let me take my glasses out because they're dirty, right? I had some bias when it came to 529 accounts. I am not a fan, and anybody who's actually been a client of mine, asked me some questions, um, etc., will know that I've told them, hey, do you? I've just never been a 529 plan screaming from the rooftops like I do for like other things like HSAs and things of that nature. I just wasn't a proponent of it. Why? Because I felt like there were other tools at the time. Y'all gotta remember, if we go back in history, that 529 being available for all kinds of education, right? What is something relatively new. So my kids were born, my oldest two children were born in 2005 and 2006. Is that right? Yeah, because I got somebody who can raise her 20, right? So 2005 and 2006. My oldest two children were born at that time. And at the time, um, God bless their grandparents for setting up a 529 account because they could see it. At my time, at that time, I felt it was too restrictive because it was only for education. And I knew that not everybody was going to always follow the education path. Now, thank God, you know what I'm saying? And it was for education. When I say for education, I mean for college education, right? Not everybody's going to go to college. Not everybody was going to go to a traditional college, right? Somebody could go to trade school. Somebody could go do something else. And at the time, I just did not see it. But I'm grateful for the grandparents because the grandparents were like, nope, very, very into education. That is going to be what it is. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm a proponent, like I'm against education, because I'm not against education by any means. I just thought that education was going to look different. And I did not want somebody to feel locked into the fact that the only way that they would be able to have access to something for them, right, that was being built over time would be that they had to go get a degree in something that they did not want to go get a degree in, right? And at that time, I don't know if I had the forethought or it may be the fact that my husband went to trade school and I went to a 4-year college. Both are great educational tracks. Both will be able to let you do what you need to do. Thank God he handy. Thank God he knows certain stuff. I've actually picked up an electrical code book and been like, so you want me to write this email? Cause bruh, I don't get these calculations. Or if he's measuring something and he talk about something in a 16th, I'm like, so I can tell you about the matching principle, right? So we have different skill sets that allowed us to have different opportunities. And how we both ended up, he was in an apprenticeship. I had scholarships and took out loans. So it looked different. And so I really think my husband and I talked about it and we wanted to get him the choice. Now, mind you, now that I understand more about what kinds of things you can set up, the kids do have custodial accounts. So I'm not saying don't set money aside for stuff. Don't find ways to make stuff crack and do what it need to do, right? Don't don't help to build for their future. I'm not going to tell you that. I believe in having life insurance plans and things of that nature for kids, and because that's the blueprint that I had set for myself. And like I said, I'm grateful that they have grandparents that thought about, you know what, education is that important that we will establish a 529 for them. That's dope as heck. As heck. So now that I've dived into this a little bit further, I'm not gonna tell you that I'm gonna go do a 529 plan because I'm not. I do have an 8-year-old. Not gonna do a 529 plan. He has a custodial account. We'll figure stuff out a different way. And he got grandparents that actually have set this plan in motion. But now that I understand it, there's other things that can be done because my concern always was, what if they choose not to go to school? That really was always my concept behind it. What if they choose not to go to school? And so this concept, I'm so glad one of my clients and who happens to be one of my good friends asked me this, because what we're going to talk about today is going to give you some ideas to think about. All right, so enough of my backstory. Let's jump into it. You probably like, that was a long time to get to. I needed to get a preference because I want to go through. I'm going to teach this in a different manner, and then from there, y'all gonna make a decision for yourself. All right, so let's go into it. All right, so what exactly is a 529 trust? Why some families use a 529 trust and not just a 529 plan? Now y'all like, oh, Patrice do have a rhythm. You know, she got a method to her madness as to why she does it. All right, cool. All right, so let's go back in time. Let's talk about it a little bit. Oh, I should have. I forget about this. Hold on for a second, y'all. Because if you're looking at it on the screen and you see my logo, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. I'm advising. Y'all getting this real and raw. Let's come back here. Let's come back to me and my technical stuff. Hold on. All right, let's do it this way. All right, let's do it this way. All right, y'all. This is what happens when you got kids doing all the stuff. Okay, so before we get into anything, this is how you can see it. We're gonna do this way so stuff won't be in the way when y'all are looking at it. Right. So, what's a 529 plan? A 529 plan. Before we go start talking about trust and everything like this, let's do a refresher. 529 is a code in the Internal Revenue Code in the IRC, right? It's the IRS section, right, that talks about how you can actually build a savings just like you. That's why I use health savings accounts, y'all, because HSAs work the same way, right? We setting money aside and earmarking that money for a future use. It is specifically used for education. It's for qualified education funds, right? That's what they really are. It's qualified education funds. And we can use them to pay for tuition. We can use them to pay for room and board. We can use them to pay for equipment. We can use it to pay for lab supplies, whatever we need to for a child. And currently we can do it for K through 12 as well as college or secondary education. Okay. And it can be used by whomever you have deemed those funds to be set aside for. That money gets set there. It grows tax free. You put your piece in there. It do its thing. And now the beauty behind this, right, is that if we don't use those funds, what can we do with the funds? We can roll those funds over to a Roth IRA for that person. Or you can rename who's the beneficiary so that somebody else gets the funds. All right, so that's what we talked about last week. We go into it deep. Look at last week's video if you want a refresher. Okay? Me and this technology and this mouse. All right, here we go. All right. A 529 trust isn't a special version of a 529. It's a legal trust that just happens to own the 529 plan. Right? So the trust is a legal vehicle. Notice that I keep stressing the fact that it's legal because I'm an accountant. I'm not a lawyer. You're going to need to get an estate attorney to help you set up the trust so that the trust can own the plan. We going to call this getting your board of advisors together. You got to have the right people to do the right things. So, AKA, that don't mean come ask me, well, Patrice, I can't set the trust up for you because I don't have a legal degree to first. I got an accounting degree. I have a master's in accounting. I have an EA certification. Nowhere did you hear that I have passed a board exam to do anything of law in anybody's state. Okay? So let's look at this example. Instead of grandma opening a 529 in her own name for little Johnny, she opened a trust. And what does the trust own? What is the asset that the trust owns? Is this 529 plan. What happens with this? This setup protects the account from all the family drama. Because we don't want no drama because they know somebody got money. We trying to just send Johnny to school. That's all grandma trying to do. She don't want no issues. She don't want the stuff to go to probate if she not here. She don't want people forgetting a password. She don't want people looking through the drawer trying to figure. She just don't want it. So she gave it to the trust and gave it to the lawyers and put the asset in the trust. Think of it like this. Leaving a 529 plan in someone's name is like putting cash on the kitchen counter. Everybody gonna be tempted to take it. Everybody not gonna be honest. Somebody might want to go get some 7-Eleven Slurpee because it's hot. Okay? I'm just saying. And they didn't have nothing in their pocket. Or they might just be like, instead of using my money, I want to use your money because I get to keep my money. People act like that sometimes. It don't make them 100% malicious. It just means that sometimes we're selfish and we want to keep our own stuff. Okay? What happens when you put it in a trust, though? We locking it in a vault. It's got rules and regulations. We got clear instructions. We got a guardian over it. We got somebody who can be like, hey, you got to ask permission before you come up in here and grab it. We got some parameters around it because sometimes we need boundaries for our own self-control and for those coming down the pipe. And so this is why we have the attorney. We set the trust up with all the rules and regulations. We put the plan in there and we name who need to be named on it that way. So who owns the 529 plan in this case? The trust. When you put it together, what does it make it? A 529 trust. Who set this stuff up? Well, first of all, the lawyer set up the trust. Then you got to go get somebody to be the custodian, right, of the 529 plan. That's when the financial planner comes in. Do y'all notice that not once did I say that this belongs to the tax professional or the accountant? These are other people that you need to go have conversations with, which I think is pretty dope because I think all three of them need to get together on behalf of you, right? With you there, making the decisions as to how this works so everybody know how it's going to operate. All right, so who should consider the trust? Let me move myself out the way. Let's see. Let me come over here because now I'm blocking the slide so y'all can't see it. Who should see it? I'm going to be in the corner. Let's see if I can make myself smaller. Go small, go small, go small. Oh, I done made myself big. You know you got to lose some weight, girl. All right, there we go. Okay. Who should consider a 529 trust? High net worth families. This is what is encouraged. Parents, grandparents funding multiple generations. Now, notice I tell you, sometimes it be the godparents, sometimes it be the grandparents. Over here, it was not the parents. The parents did not set up a 529 anything, let alone a 529 trust. Now, we do got a trust, but there ain't no 529 in it, okay? But you'll find grandparents, you'll find godparents, you'll find aunts and uncles that will be good people to make sure, hey, if something were to happen to me and I got some assets and I want this to be done the right way because I want people bickering and I want my wishes done the way I want them done. And I don't want no drama because I got stuff. And I don't want to be caught up in probate. The trust. Okay. Families with concerns about divorce, probate, irresponsible beneficiaries, making sure money is used the way you intended for it to be used. We are earmarking this money for education. to go to the person who we deem that we want it to go to. Not so they can just be going to ball out. We trying to further them along their path. Folks doing holistic estate planning with other trusts already in place. So like I told y'all, I already have a plan. I already have a trust. If I wanted to add aspects to this trust now, and I'm like, you know what? One day I'm gonna be a grandparent. Not one day soon. Not NOT one day soon. Okay? But down the road, I have 4 children. The hopes is that I will be a grandparent and be able to see my grandchildren. Would I definitely do something like this as a grandparent? I definitely would. I've seen the benefits of it. And now that I understand it, for the fact that there's other ways that this can be, you know what I'm saying? If they decide they don't want to go to school, that we can roll it over to a Roth, and I feel like I would be contributing to their future in that way, definitely. Definitely. Definite, no lie. Definitely. I can, and this is why I can see why grandparents do this. This is their way of being like, look, I'm trying to help you get a leg up, and I want the money to be used the way I intend the money to be used. And I hate to say it's like reaching beyond the grave, but it is. It is a wealth building tool that will allow legacy to be built on and on. And if you actually set the trust up where it can continue to be going on, right? That this could be a great tool to be added into your trust so that you can earmark a portion of the funds to be used, if you believe in education like that, solely for education. Okay? A portion. I didn't say all of it. I said a portion, y'all. Come on. I want to go to the next slide. All right. What are the benefits? Let me move myself out the way and make myself bigger. What are the benefits of this trust, of this tool? Control. Control. I say what I want. Control. Got to have it all. Okay. Jen Jackson. For those of y'all who are like, what did she do? Control. Because you want to get your Janet Jackson on. Best album ever. All right. You can dictate how funds are used, by whom, and under what conditions. Y'all just go with it. Pretend like y'all didn't see it. This is why I don't be on the camera sometimes. Because this is what I be doing in the background when can't nobody see me. Okay? Continuity. If the grantor dies, the trust still owns the 529. We don't want no drama. That's a song too. Okay. Stay focused, girl. Stay focused. Asset protection. We don't want no drama. How many times we gonna tell you this? The benefits of it is we don't want no drama. We want control. We want the funds to go where we want it to go. It also removes plans from your funds from your taxable estate. If you work with, now that's where estate planning, tax planning comes in. Truthfully, that's where your estate attorney and your tax planning professional will work together to make sure that it's set up to benefit you, right? And so that if we get into the trust and the estate and what's going to happen, and if you have to have a estate return, we are reducing how much of that is taxed. It's a way to earmark these funds so that they can grow tax-free, so that you can do what it is you want to do for you and your family. Period, point blank. Period. Point blank. It is so that everybody can get what everybody needs to get the way you have deemed that you want it to happen. But you have to have the right team members to make that happen. Who are those team members? Those team members truly are your estate attorney, because you have to set up the trust the way it's supposed to be set up in your state. Right? Because you're going to have a will and a trust. Boom, boom. This ain't got nothing to do with me. You're going to have to go deal with an attorney to make sure it's done right for that state. And then you're going to want to make sure you have a good custodian who is helping you set up these 529 accounts. Right? So I know that Fidelity has some people that can help manage, right, stuff for you. They deal with retirement and things of that nature. Charles Schwab, like you're going to have a brokerage. You might want to self-manage it. You may want to be like, okay, I want to set this up, but I still have to have somebody who is in the securities business, right? To set us, because most times people are putting these in ETFs so that they can grow down the road. If you even look at your state one, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, if you're looking, they are putting those funds into some type of equity where it is growing, some stocks, some type of fund, some type of ETF where it is growing. And 9 times out of 10, it's a mix of different equities or different funds to allow it to grow so that it's protected and it is moving forward and actually growing tax free. So if you don't, and it's got to be under that 529 umbrella, right? And so you want to make sure that you are working with somebody who is licensed in that area to do that. That's why I named out the brokerages that I do, right? Because I'm familiar with them. In reality, it's Fidelity, Charles Schwab. I'm trying to think of some other ones, right? And then of course there's self-direct ones that you can do as well. I'm going to tell you, number one, if you have not thought about creating a trust, create the trust. Find you an attorney. Do your research. Get you a will. If you got some people that you want to help with education, this is how you do it. Let's take the 529 and put it in the trust. And then let's make the rules as to how the beneficiaries get it. Now remember, because this will make it be longevity, right? We're going to build legacy. And even though I said uber wealthy, right? High income net individuals, we also talked about grandparents. We talked about keeping the drama out of everything. And if you feel like because money could be there and you want to make sure that the funds are set aside for who you deem it to be set aside for and be used in the manner in which you want it to be used for, where you can stipulate, hey, if they don't go to school by the age of 29, then roll it over to a Roth, you're going to have to set them rules up. And the way to do that is in a trust. The way to do that is in a trust where you are earmarking and outlining the way you want it to go. And I can't tell you how to do that because I'm not a lawyer, but it's something worth having a conversation with somebody who specializes in that area to help you build what you need to build and put the assets that you want in there so that it can do what it is that you want you to do. And you can go and have all the peace of mind that you have. Okay? Funding the trust is a whole different topic. I'm still working on making sure that everything I want funded in the trust, that everything my husband wants funded in our trust goes there and we're doing it correctly and making sure that, you know what I'm saying? But it's something very imperative that we all need to pay attention to. If we own a little bit of anything and we want it and we want to take away the drama while people are dealing with grief, we need to do this. If you love your family the way you say you love your family, I've realized this now at my big age of 48. You got to have some insurance, right? And not just to bury yourself, to make sure some stuff get paid off. And you need to have an estate that has a trust, okay? You need to go talk to the estate attorney and get a trust so that you can still direct the things the way you want them and revisit it. So that somebody get on your nerves or something happen or you see somebody's irresponsible, that you can make them changes, because you don't want to give somebody a loaded gun full of money and they go balls to the wall without actually putting the parameters in place for them to be successful. I'm not saying they won't learn their lessons. I'm saying let's make sure that we do better for the next generation ahead, because yeah, there's talk about an AI and the robots and this, that, and the other, but we have got to start teaching better fiscal responsibility, and it starts with us. That's my breakdown of the 529 Trust. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if there's other questions that you happen to have. Let me know if there's a totally different topic that you would love to hear about. Y'all know that we are here to be able to love on y'all in that manner. I know these are turning into like mini workshops, right? Got some concepts that I want to kind of do with it, but thank you to the person who asked me to do the research because it allowed me to see stuff in a different way and see how two things that I know a little something about come together and can make a Voltron technique that could change your family's legacy when put in place together. Till next week, y'all. Have a good one.